Happy New Year, guys. Welcome to 2025. And with the new year comes more football, this time Brentford versus Arsenal. Arsenal, who we know obviously are looking to establish themselves in some sort of title race with Liverpool, who are running away with it at this present moment. Brentford, who are the best performing team at home in the Premier League, were looking to keep that record that they have. And so we would see how it would play out. First and foremost, we want to take a look at the lineups, something that we normally do to kick off the game. From a Brentford standpoint, I would say not much of a shock, to be honest with you. They are, a lot better than they did last season. Obviously, there was a lot of turmoil last season with Ivan Toney and his betting scandal and how would they operate. Now they've found exactly how they want to operate. Wissa and then Bremo up top. Damgard, who's been playing really, really well, been a creative force for Brentford, and he continues to showcase that ability even in this game. From an Arsenal perspective, some surprises, if I'm being honest with you. Calafiori coming back into the team, there was reports that he was training. I was a little bit surprised to see Lewis Skelly come out. However, it could be just another element of rotation by the manager. With that, you also had Partey coming back into the midfield, which was a welcome sight, to be honest with you. He has been one of our best midfielders this season, and when you see him put out to right back, it is a little bit disheartening. Odegaard in the midfield with Moreno, and we also had up top Martinelli, Wanyeri, who was playing right wing, and that was a big shock for a lot of fans. We've called for him to play more in the midfield than on the right wing. But after his performance today, listen, he may be the person who can support filling in that gap for Saka. Again, very, very early to tell, and it is a massive gap that not only he needs to fill, but a lot of the squad need to fill as well. With Gabriel Jesus up top at striker as well. So those were the lineups. We'll get into the game itself, and we'll look at first the momentum. So coming into the game again, Arsenal were looking to flex, show their quality, show exactly what they can do. A lot of Brentford's games at home have been a lot of wild west football, I would say, back and forth, give and take, and they've got the ability to do that because they counter so well, and that's what they were looking to do against Arsenal, and that's how they got their first goal. Essentially a poor mistake from Martin Odegaard, and I'll go into his performance very quickly because, again, as a captain of Arsenal, I expect a lot more, if I'm being honest with you. Last couple of games hasn't been on it. He makes a very lackluster and poor pass. I just don't think it was a good pass at all. That gets caught out in the midfield. Brentford counter. We have Bremo one on one with Calafiori. Calafiori, if I'm being honest with you, does an awful job of showing Bremo to the outside. He essentially allows him to cut in, shows him the angle, gives him an angle to shoot, and he scores. 1-0. David Raya can't save it, unfortunately for him. Unfortunately for Arsenal, they did find themselves 1-0 down. And again, I look at two players here. I don't look at Raya in terms of that goal being scored. The angle was unfortunate for him to concede from. However, Calafiori does not defend it well enough. And again, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this goal because the rest of the performance by Arsenal was very impressive. However, there's a couple of people I'm going to call out here because for that period of time, Arsenal can't make these mistakes, especially away from home, because they're going to have to pull it out of the fire, which they did. But you can't repeatedly do that. Firstly, I'm going to focus on the captain, Martin Odegaard. Um, poor, poor. No, nothing else to say. And I'm one of his biggest supporters. A lot of safe passes. The passes he did try to take on that were more adventurous, he couldn't pull off, unfortunately. And again, it was one where it was kind of a lackluster. Couldn't get any shots off. One touch in the opposition box. Passes into the final third. Only 9. Um, Accurate crosses wasn't there. To be honest with you, just a lot of lackluster play. And if one thing you can say about Martin Odegaard, if he's not performing from a creative standpoint, he's going to give you the work rate and the pressing, and it's going to be effective. Today, it wasn't effective. He wasn't pressing in the way that he normally pressed, and there was a moment during the game where he went over to Arteta to discuss what, I'm not sure, but I think it was due to kind of how he was seeing the game and how he was affecting the game. And to me, it wasn't to the level I expect. He needs to be Arsenal's creative output and outlay. Yes, we've got Wanyeri who was providing a lot of that, and we're going to get into it a lot more during this video. But Odegaard should be our main creator, and he was lauded and applauded when he was out of the game for Arsenal. How much we missed him. Yeah, I need to see a lot more now he's back in the team, if I'm being honest with you. Calafiori is another person that we've spoken about before. This isn't a surprise. I like Calafiori as a player, as an archetype. He is big, he's strong, he's built like a centre back. but has fullback, centre mid, centre defensive mid abilities. He can cut in, he can find that pass, he can do a lot of good things, if I'm being honest with you. But defensively, Calafiori, defensively, you have to learn. I could put, a fiver on each Arsenal game that he plays. I'll probably make money because I know he's going to get a yellow card. I've spoken about it before. I like the aggression, but he needs to control it. Very, very rash. His defending for that goal was very poor. He literally gave Mbeumo the angle. He overplayed actually cutting in and gave Mbeumo the perfect angle where he should be asking or looking to face Mbeumo on the outside. Make him try and whip in across. Make him try and beat you one-on-one. But no, you give him the angle, you give him the space, and that's what's happened. Very unfortunate, to be honest with you. Arsenal did bounce back though. It didn't take them the whole of the first half. Gabriel Jesus with his goal. It was one that was a little bit, I would say, messy in spots, but however, Arsenal were pushing on after that goal to make sure that their domination was felt. And to be honest with you, before that goal from Brentford, Arsenal were in complete domination. They should have had a couple of goals, if I'm being honest with you. They didn't take their opportunities, and as such, Brentford did. They found themselves one goal down. Obviously, we mentioned Gabriel Jesus getting the equaliser. It was one that was a bit messy. He did get a deflection off a strike, finished that into the back of the net, and he has now 6 goals in his last 4 appearances, which is absolutely immense for him. In terms of his performance against Ipswich, I wasn't overly impressed. He did bounce back here. The work rate was there, the effective play was there, and more important than anything, the goal was there. He will be judged by goals. That is what Arsenal need, and I'm happy to see him back in form. I'm not yet on the bandwagon of he's back and XYZ. No, and for me, you have scored 6 goals in 4 games. However, as they rightly pointed out on TNT Sports, it took you 48 games prior to score 6 goals. So you've got a lot of making up to do from a player perspective, from a fan perspective. We need to see this output weekly, every 3 days, because if you can do that for us, it can propel us with the likes of Saka coming back in March, with the likes of Ranieri supporting, with the likes of Martinelli getting a goal today as well. It can really propel Arsenal forward. So Gabriel Jesus, good to see him back in form. I'm never going to say I don't want to see him in form. He is a special player, regardless of his faults and his failings. He is a special player, but we need to see him performing. And if he performs like he does today and how he did in Crystal Palace, we are in for a good time for the rest of the season. It may not result in winning, but the excitement will be there, the play will be there, and honestly, I want to see him do well. Why wouldn't I not? He was signed to be our number 9. He was signed to do damage, and unfortunately, up until this point, he hasn't done so. That goal was crucial and pivotal. Arsenal went into the halftime break 1-1, and slowly but surely after that break, they will get and make it 2-1. A goal from Moreno. They would make it 2-1. A goal from Moreno from the corner was exactly what Arsenal needed to take the game into their advantage. Moreno, if I'm being honest with you, outside of the goal, I wasn't too happy. I wasn't overly excited or impressed by his performance. And it's a long running and long standing thing with Moreno at the moment, to be honest with you. He was signed to be our left centre mid replacement. A lot of people were looking for the air for Granit Xhaka. We didn't sign that player previously. He was meant to be that player, and unfortunately, he's not that. He's not living up to what we expected, if I'm being honest with you. If we look at some of his defensive stats where he should be progressing, again, he was okay in that aspect, winning a number of duels. However, still losing plenty of duels as well. The goal was massive. I won't take that away from him. However, with Mikel Moreno, what do you want to see? Is he a left centre mid who's going to operate more defensively, allowing Partey to play the more adventurous passes? Is he just there as a pure duel winner? These are the kind of things that I think we need to know when analysing and assessing him, because I'm looking at and I'm looking for the complete left-sided centre mid, and I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing parts of his game which are okay, but progressing the ball forward, taking the ball forward, linking up attacks. He's not doing that. He's actually at some points during the game killing attacks, which is very disappointing. But again, the goal from Moreno was desperately what we needed, taking Arsenal up to a 2-1 advantage, and Gabriel Martinelli would finish it, making it 3-1 with a beautiful finish. He again is someone that I haven't been overly impressed with. To be honest with you, his last performance against Ipswich on the right wing was not the one at all, and I think Arteta took that into his stride, moved Martinelli back to the left wing, and experimented with Ranieri on the right wing. And Martinelli gets his goal. His work rate was good. This is essentially the left side of Arsenal that Mikel Arteta wanted to build. Calafiori, Moreno, Martinelli. From all understandings, this is the left side he wants. This game, I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest with you. However, Arsenal did play a lot of fast flowing football. Moving on quickly, in our last player review, Ethan Wanieri, what a performance, what a player. No goals, no assists, yes. However, he was instrumental in moving Arsenal forward, where he plays. I don't want to say it's almost school like, but there's a innocence to his game that he can try anything, he can do anything, and he's not overawed or wants to play safe. If that makes sense, he took the ball on the wing, beat his man, drifted into the center of the pitch, and was looking for that outlet pass. He has the maturity and experience, and it's brilliant from an Arsenal perspective to see him and Miles Lewis Skelly both in the team. Talking about Miles Lewis Skelly, he came on later in the game with Declan Rice and Trossard, and there were no particular standout performances from anybody who came off the bench, including Jorginho and Zinchenko. We'll quickly look at the stats as well. Possession was fairly average. Arsenal were happy to not dominate possession if it meant that they could proceed with their opportunities. And again, you can see by the amount of shots within the box that Arsenal were taking those opportunities. 14 shots, 5 on target, 2 big chances missed, unfortunately. However, Arsenal do run out as 3-1 winners. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the third time in a row that Arsenal have beaten Brentford, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, as you can see here, actually it's the fourth time. So beat them at home last season in the Premier League and in the Carabao Cup as well. So Brentford have always been a tough team for Arsenal. However, this time we do take them out. We will now look at the Premier League table very briefly. Arsenal now sit themselves in second behind Liverpool, who have a game in hand. Their next opponent will be Manchester United. It will be, again, very interesting to see how they do perform. Arsenal will have Brighton away next, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that will be their next game. You're looking at a lot of competitive teams at the top of the table. Newcastle are in some of the best form in the league, but the best informed team is Nottingham Forest, then Newcastle, then Arsenal and Liverpool, who make up the top 4 informed teams at the moment. So Arsenal will be looking to push on, essentially. Arsenal will be looking to see how they can continue to hit that nail. Each time that Liverpool are playing, they have no control over that. Yes, whatever result happens, Arsenal have no control over that. But when they do play, Arsenal need to make sure that they win and they need to build a streak. That is for sure. Quickly, just going to take a look at some of the key stats for this season, given that we're at the halfway point of the season. Mohamed Salah obviously leading with top goal scorers, most assists. Bukayo Saka second in the list. So Arsenal have lost their main creative force. Odegaard will again have to step up. Goals and assists, Salah, Cole Palmer and Isak lead the Premier League. Some of the more advanced stats we can look for: expected goals, Salah, Haaland and Cole Palmer. Big chances created, Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer and Salah. No surprise there. Let's also look at some of the defensive stats very, very briefly. In terms of save percentage, Roberto. In terms of defending, we can see that the Man United and Bournemouth players sit near the top of this list. Harry Maguire and Casemiro for Man United, and Tyler Adams at the top for both successful tackles and interceptions. And finally, we'll look at the goalkeeping stats as well. Save percentage, Sanchez sits atop. He has been worked, it looks like. Saves per 90 as well. Mark Flecken is a busy boy. Clean sheets, Sells and Raya sit atop with the best defenses in the league, or the most clean sheets, shall we say. So, guys, this has been the So, guys, this has been a Brentford versus Arsenal game review. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. Let me know who your player of the match was. For me, I'm going to give it to Gabriel Jesus for his goal, the goal that got Arsenal back into the game. If that came any later than it did, who knows what would have happened. Also, a special shout out to Wanieri as well. Very, very impressive. And I'll give it to majority of the Arsenal defence as well for being largely solid when needed. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. It's been EDA. I'll catch you soon. Peace.